Hello guys! Since the start of Russian war in Ukraine, Russia has lost more than 500,000 of their soldiers. They lose more than 1,000 people per day, and that's okay for Russia, which once again reminds the world this is a crazy country with total disrespect to human life, even when it is the life of their own soldiers. I know Russian trolls will come to comments reminding me about the Ukrainian losses, but first of all, they are not that big, and secondly, we do not have a choice. We protect our motherland. Every Russian soldier does have a choice. They can cross Ukrainian border, become murderers, looters, but die here. Or they can fight for freedom and democracy, but on the Russian territory. Somehow they keep doing a wrong choice, and now dozens or maybe even hundreds of Russian soldiers are trapped on a chemical plant in Vovchansk. And no, Russian army does not have a plan or intention to save them. Let me tell you more about this failure of Russian offensive in Kharkiv and what it means for the future Ukrainian victory from an ordinary Ukrainian perspective. My name is Anna, and I vlog daily from Ukraine since the start of the brutal Russian invasion. So if you're new to the channel, you support Ukraine, please subscribe and help us fight against Russian propaganda and fake news. And my longtime friends, check your subscription status and hit notification button. Russia has lost 500,000 of their soldiers since the start of their own invasion initiated by them. This is a terrifying number that terrifies everybody but Russia. Any more or less sane country would have stopped this brutal murder of its own soldiers. But once again, not Russia. And Putin, who considers himself the greatest economist, the greatest politician, the greatest historian, and the greatest military leader, decided he wants to start a Kharkiv offensive to extend Ukrainian front line. But in the result, this caused more trouble to Russia than to Ukraine. After weeks of heavy shellings on Kharkiv and the region that is unfortunately located too close to the Russian border, our partners made a very important decision to lift the ban and allow Ukraine target military objects located on the side of the Russian Federation, but close to the front lines. And this actually already helped to save hundreds, if not thousands, of Ukrainian lives. Because before that, for years already, Russians were simply hiding on their side, knowing that, haha, you cannot do anything, we will keep shelling you. This was very unjust, but being afraid of escalation, being too cautious, our allies were not ready to lift this ban, and we can officially say that Putin's attack on Kharkiv region was the trigger that helped us lift this ban. So thank you very much. And we can definitely see that this northern offensive of the Russian army in 2024 turned into a total failure. Politically, strategically, and now even militarily, I mean in this very, very physical way, with lots of Russian soldiers giving up, surrendering to the Ukrainian armed forces. But actually, this is not the worst scenario in that miserable Russian life. And if you look at the photos and you compare the state in which Russian prisoners of war are kept in Ukraine with the way Ukrainian prisoners of war are kept in Russia, you will once again see this great civilizational divide. When we care about these evil invaders and they literally starve, torture Ukrainians to death. This cannot be forgiven, and I'm sure this will be one of the cases in The Hague sometime soon. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. This is the easiest way to demonstrate your solidarity and help us spread more information about Ukraine. And believe me, the world needs it. As authoritarian regimes mobilize, we have to stay united and we have to stay decisive. And I believe lots of this news are important for the general understanding of what is happening in the world. Because once again, this is not a local conflict. Right now, with the failure of Russian offensive on Kharkiv, we have lots of Russian soldiers surrendering, and also we have a number of them trapped in the aggregate plant in Vovchansk. Vovchansk is less than 5 kilometers away from the border. This was a beautiful city, like 13,000 inhabitants. Now it is not a city anymore, because those who follow the updates from Ukraine know that Russia does not actually take the territory. They don't save anything on these territories. They always apply scorched earth policy, once again demonstrating the world, no, they don't need territories. Being the largest country in the world, they really don't need territories. They want to erase Ukraine, its language, culture, and us people, but we won't let them. So dozens, if not hundreds, of Russian soldiers are now hiding in the basements of the plant, aggregate plant. In Ukrainian, we name it aggregate. I don't know why in English-speaking media it's a chemical plant. Maybe anyway. They produce details, engines for the cars, and these Russian invaders that are hiding now in its basements from shellings, from this frontline battles, you know, they don't have supplies of water, they don't have supplies of food, and I am 100% confident that Russian friends, Russian army does not have a plan or intention to save them, which is very different. It gives me this very negative deja vu with Azovstal, when lots of Ukrainian defenders and civilians were hiding in its basements from constant Russian shellings, but at the same time, Ukrainian armed forces, Ukrainian president, and every person in Ukraine were thinking how to save these people. We care about human life. This is the most important, the most valuable part of this world. But in Russia, they are ready to sacrifice millions more, as long as this does not cause troubles for Putin, and unfortunately this does not. Because these very rare protests of Russian wives and mothers, they are really tiny and incomparable to the side of losses that Russia actually has. So I'm sure that Ukrainian armed forces will not kill these trapped Russian soldiers unless they continue doing evil things. And if they surrender, this will actually be perhaps the best solution in their miserable life. But this is also a very important message to the rest of Russian soldiers. I know there are lots of videos around the internet with them recording videos, sharing this state in which they are, with no supplies, with no food, stealing, I don't know, boots from Ukrainian soldiers and food from Ukrainian soldiers. And I hope this will demotivate lots of, I don't know how not to dehumanize them. Because, you know, whenever I say orcs, there are lots of comments telling me, oh, you're dehumanizing Russians. But guys, it's not me who dehumanize Russians. These are Russians who dehumanize themselves when they cross this border as invaders. Please remember that. Join the channel if you're new. We have a beautiful community here. Remember to subscribe to my Instagram, X, Threads, and join our Discord community. We have a beautiful merch shop with lots of items that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming patrons and sponsors of the channel. This helps me film and write more. And thank you for all the love and support that we feel on a daily basis. Actually, you help us survive. Slava Ukraini!